Have you ever had one of those moments where you open your banking app, scroll past your checking account, look at your savings, and think, okay, so if I just stopped working tomorrow, I'd be broke in about 3 weeks? Like, you're doing everything you're supposed to do. You're working, you're saving a little. Maybe you're even investing. But deep down, you know the truth. If your paycheck disappeared, your lifestyle would disappear right after it. And then you hear someone online say, I live off dividends. I make almost $3,000 a month without working. And your first reaction is, yeah, sure. That's for rich people. That's not me. If that thought just crossed your mind, good. This video is for you. Look, I'll be honest with you. I spend way too much time thinking about the fastest way you can live off dividends, $2,900 per month. If you're someone who feels stuck relying on a paycheck, worried about inflation eating your savings, and wondering if financial freedom is even realistic anymore, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because here's the thing. Living off dividends is not a fantasy, but it's also not what most people think it is. And the fastest way to get there is probably not the way you've been told. Let's challenge the biggest belief right away. Most people think living off dividends requires millions of dollars, like 2 million, 3 million, maybe more. And that belief comes from traditional dividend advice. You'll hear things like, just invest in safe dividend stocks yielding 3%. Okay, let's do the math. If you want $2,900 a month, that's about $35,000 a year. At a 3% yield, you'd need over $1.1 million invested, and that's before taxes. So when people hear that number, they mentally check out. They think, cool, I'll just work forever then. Here's what most people don't realize. That advice is slow on purpose. It's safe, sure, but it's slow. And if your goal is speed, you need to understand the trade-offs. This is where it gets really interesting. Dividends are just companies sharing profits with you. That's it. No magic. No passive income fairy. But how those dividends are generated changes everything. Some companies pay small, steady dividends. Others use more aggressive strategies to generate higher cash flow. And when you understand those strategies, the math changes dramatically. Think of dividend investing like renting out property. You can buy a small house in a perfect neighborhood, charge modest rent, and sleep well at night. Or you can buy a larger, riskier property that pays way more rent but requires more understanding and attention. Most people only hear about the first option. But the second option is how people accelerate income. One of the fastest strategies is something most people have heard of but don't really understand: covered call ETFs. Here's the simple explanation. These funds own stocks, but they also sell options on those stocks to generate extra income. That option income gets paid out to you as cash. This is why yields are higher, often 10 to 12% annually. And no, you don't trade options yourself. The ETF does all the work. You just collect the income. Now let's do the math everyone avoids. If you need $35,000 a year and your portfolio yields around 11%, you need roughly $320,000 invested. That's not pocket change, but it's also not $2 million. And this is where people get uncomfortable. They hear high yield and immediately think scam or too good to be true. And sometimes that instinct is right. But covered call ETFs are not magic. They come with trade-offs. Covered call ETFs often cap upside. If the market explodes upward, you won't capture all those gains. You're trading long-term growth for immediate income. This is not a strategy for someone in their 20s chasing maximum growth. This is a tool. And tools are powerful if you know how to use them and dangerous if you don't. Now let's talk about another income-focused strategy: real estate investment trusts, or REITs. REITs own income-producing real estate like apartments, offices, and storage facilities. They are legally required to pay out most of their income as dividends. Some of them yield 10, 15, even 20%. And yes, that's real. But high yields exist for a reason. There is risk. REIT income depends on interest rates, occupancy, and the economy. When rates rise, REIT prices fall. That scares investors, which pushes yields higher. Here's what most people don't realize. Many REITs pay dividends monthly, not quarterly. That psychological difference matters more than people think. Getting paid monthly feels like a paycheck. People panic less. They reinvest more consistently. And consistency is where real wealth comes from. If you build a diversified REIT portfolio yielding around 11%, you're again looking at roughly $300,000 to $330,000 to generate $35,000 a year. Is it risk-free? No. Is it faster than the traditional path? Absolutely. Now let's talk about the other extreme: dividend aristocrats. These are companies that have raised dividends for at least 25 years in a row. Think boring, stable, slow. They typically yield around 5 to 7%. That means you need closer to $500,000 invested to hit $2,900 a month. So why would anyone choose this? Stability. Here's the part no spreadsheet shows you. If you can't sleep at night, your strategy doesn't matter. Some people need stability more than speed. Others need speed more than stability. There is no single best strategy. There is only the best strategy for you. Now you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but where am I supposed to get $300,000? And that's a fair question. Most people don't start with that. They build to it. They invest aggressively while working. They reinvest dividends instead of spending them. And they avoid lifestyle inflation. Here's a realistic example. If you invest $2,000 a month and earn an average return of 8%, you reach around $300,000 in about 8 to 9 years. That's not overnight, but it's also not forever. The biggest mistake people make is chasing yield without understanding risk, or avoiding risk entirely and moving too slowly. Both lead to frustration. Here's what many people don't consider. You don't need to choose just one strategy. You can blend them. Covered call ETFs for income, REITs for cash flow, dividend aristocrats for stability. That balance reduces risk while keeping income high. So here are the actionable steps. First, figure out your number. How much monthly income do you actually need? Second, decide whether speed or stability matters more to you right now. Third, start building toward that number with intention, not hope. And fourth, revisit your strategy every year. Your goals will change, and that's normal. Living off dividends isn't about never working again. It's about choice. It's about knowing that if something happens, you're okay. That security changes how you think, how you work, and how you live. Look, I get slightly frustrated when I see people delay their financial future because they think it's impossible. It's not. It just requires clarity, patience, and a willingness to question traditional advice. You don't need millions. You don't need luck. You need a plan that matches who you are. If this video helped you see dividends differently, hit the like button, subscribe for more practical money breakdowns like this, and remember this: financial freedom doesn't come from working harder forever. It comes from making smarter decisions sooner. I'll see you in the next one.